Tragic news out of Washington, D.C. Senator Lindsey Graham has passed away at the age of 71 after what is being described as a brief and sudden illness. He had just returned back on a trip overseas, and now there are questions being raised about what exactly happened to this longstanding senator. And he is another aged senator in the growing list of Republicans who are now missing from the Senate, and so therefore their lead has dwindled down even further for all intents and purposes. Before we get into this story, please like, share, and comment at the Becker Brief. We're going to try to bring you breaking news and commentary throughout the day, and so we really appreciate your subscription. So, Senator Lindsey Graham has passed away after decades in Congress. He served as the senator in South Carolina. He was a foreign policy hawk, and he served as the chair of the Foreign Affairs Committee. And so he had been overseas on a trip to Ukraine, and he had toured a drone facility and had given remarks about what had happened in the war between Russia and Ukraine that continues to just rage on. And so now they have lost a senator in Washington. And so let's take a look at what was said about Lindsey Graham.
He appreciates prayers at this time and asks for privacy during this incredibly difficult period.
His cause of death remains unknown, but police reportedly responded to a cardiac arrest call at his home and were seen carrying a person away on a stretcher.
So this is the second aged Republican senator to be carried out on a stretcher in the past few weeks. Of course, we brought you a story about Mitch McConnell, who's a longtime senator from Kentucky, and he was on the Rules Committee. But this case is very mysterious because what the circumstances around Senator Lindsey Graham's death suggest is that, well, on one hand, he is an elderly senator, not too old, but still in that range where, unfortunately, men in particular can get cardiac arrest. So it appears to be a natural cause on its face. But on the other hand, he had made so many enemies over the years. And he, of course, supposedly died from a sudden illness. And if you dig into the details there, it said it was brief and sudden, right? And so he died hours after returning from a trip to Ukraine. And so now this dwindles further the Republican majority in the Senate, where they held a 53-47 edge. But however, under South Carolina law, the state Republican governor can make an immediate appointment to fill Graham's seat for the remainder of his term. So they may actually get someone just as conservative in South Carolina. We will have to see. But if you go to Ukraine media, it says that Lindsey Graham died at 71, and it said that he had visited Ukraine. He toured the production facilities of the defense company Skyfall, which manufactures drones for various purposes. The senator was shown the development and production of Vampire heavy bomber drones, Shrike FPV drones in several configurations, and P-1 Sun interceptor drones designed to counter Russian Shahed-type UAVs. And so during the visit, he met with Zelensky, and he was accompanied by Michael McCall, a representative who was honorary chairman of the House Foreign Affairs Committee. Now, if you go a little bit further beyond his biography, it said that Graham visited Ukraine on multiple occasions. He advocated for supplying Ukraine with Tomahawk missiles, said that U.S. President Donald Trump would kick Putin's AWS by imposing sanctions, drew attention to Russia's abduction of Ukrainian children, as the Ukrainians say here. So Graham wanted to continue fighting and to arm Ukraine to try to balance things out. And Russia was apparently, in his mind, the sole reason that the war was going on. Continuing to rage, but he was trying to put an end to it. So let's take a look at what he had to say about it.
I've never been more optimistic than I am today that we have the formula to end this war. Help Ukraine be more lethal. Let those supporting Russia to know it's going to be a price to be paid if you keep doing it. And to try to find an off-ramp, not to humiliate Putin, but to end this war so that Ukraine will thrive and survive. I've never been more.
So Lindsey Graham was definitely working towards a solution to the standoff, and he was also an ally of Ukraine and Israel. He had an announced agreement on Friday with the Trump administration to move forward on a package of sanctions against Russia. Now, Russia is already heavily sanctioned. The people there, the citizens, they are having all sorts of trouble. They're cut off from international banking and freedom of travel. So it's already been quite a blow. And I think they're targeting domestic popularity of Putin to try to increase the pressure. But they want him to withdraw from the Donbass and Crimea, which they had acquired in a pure military fait accompli. But they're trying to ratchet up the domestic pressure against Putin. Of course, Zelensky, it's disputed how unpopular he is in that country. They have not had elections there, so democracy has been put on pause in Ukraine, ironically enough. And so the Europeans, of course, they want to see Ukraine succeed and push back Russia, and they want to expand their sphere of influence within the EU and in NATO. So that's what's behind this long-running stalemate between the two countries, and so hopefully we see a resolution brought to that. And Graham, of course, was very much hawkish in this war and also in Middle Eastern affairs, where he made enemies of the Iranians. And as you see here, Lindsey Graham, well, he was not fazed by being a target of the Iranians. He said, "At least they use a good photo of me, judge me by my enemies." And that was displayed at Khamenei's funeral in Tehran. And that was in July 6th, according to the reports. And there were others put in the crosshairs, obviously. It's sad what happened. But if you disagree with Graham, I think he was reasonable enough, even if you had a disagreement with him. He comported himself with decorum on most occasions. He used colorful language, of course, like, the overwhelming majority of Americans do from time to time. So weigh in with your thoughts after the story. Why do you think is the actual backstory behind this? Do you think it's natural causes? Is that rock solid in your head and you have no questions? Or do you think these leads may lead to somewhere, and that, the Russians or the Iranians, if you have any receipts about what might have happened in the backstory of this, feel free to drop those. But as it is right now, that's all circumstantial. It's all speculation. And, we'll have to tentatively accept the story that it was a cardiac arrest, natural causes, until proven otherwise. In other words, until there are counterfactuals that surface to the contrary. So weigh in with your thoughts about the story. We always appreciate hearing from you at the Becker Brief.